Tired. I feel you. Any particular reason why? Up late working on stuff. A lot to do. You went for a long run this morning. What's going on? Dandy. Oh, okay. Haven't been sleeping too well. Why's that? Difficulty falling asleep at times. Sorry about that. Is that something that has happened a lot before, or just randomly now? Bundus, are you sleeping well? I'm sleeping pretty decently. Whenever I can make myself go to bed at a good time, usually it turns out well. Not as frequent till now, but it seems. Been kind of stressed recently. Yeah, I feel that. Fell asleep trying to read a book for English, but then couldn't sleep in it. Stress, I assume, just because of everything that's been going on, or other stuff as well. And I'll keep answering. I'm going to go ahead and start this problem. I'll keep reading them. So for our warm-up, Deshaun, Lacey, and James buy supplies from the yard store. We have some totals that everybody makes. All right, but I've got 3 people here to deal with. And I have information about how much money each of them spent and how many of these 3 different options that each of them bought. So each of them we're talking about buying pastels, brushes, and canvases. Okay, so what I'm going to do, which is something that I do a lot, is just create a little kind of chart or table for all my info. So Jason, James, Lacey. All right, so Lacey, I know, spent 23 total. I also know that she bought 2 pastels, 5 brushes, 7 canvases, not Kansases. Lacey's not purchasing Kansases, though she should. 7 canvas, 5 brushes, 2 pastels. Okay, now I'm going to go to James. James spent $24 total. And here's my information about all the things that James bought. So 6 canvases, 3 brushes, 4 pastels. All right, and notice that whenever I'm writing these out, I'm organizing them so that they are all in the same rows, like canvases in the same rows, brushes in the same rows, pastels in the same rows, and the totals at the top in the same row. All right, just again to keep it a little better organized. And then for Jayshawn, he spent 22. Five canvases, 4 brushes, 3 pastels. Right. They're all doing virtual art from home, so they have to go buy their own stuff to complete their projects. Everything's been going on and staying here for way too long. Yeah. That makes total sense. Agreed. But are you keeping a pretty routine schedule in terms of like when you go to sleep and like what you do at night? Or has it been kind of erratic since you don't really have to wake up specifically to, like go to school? Okay, so from here I can now use this information. I'm going to make an equation that represents each person. All right, so I'll start with Jayshawn. So I'll go ahead and use just the first letter of each variable. So for canvases, we use C, so 5C plus 4B, 4 brushes, plus 3P for pastels equals 22 total. Now I'm going to do the same thing for my second person, James. 6C plus 3B. Please just let me write a B. 3B plus 4P equals 24. And then lastly, for Lacey, 7C plus 5B plus 2P equals in total 23. Started off great, now it's kind of rough, but I have like at least a semi-basic routine. Okay, well that's good. Try to keep to that routine as best you can. I mean, not even just for sleeping, but for everything, just kind of for your body in general. So, because otherwise your body doesn't know when it's supposed to be sleeping or when it's supposed to be awake. But if you can at least keep a pretty typical schedule throughout the day of here's around where I wake up, I do this, right, I go to this class or do this work, and I eat lunch, and then same thing in the afternoon, and then at night I eat dinner, and then I do homework, and then I read, and then go to bed or whatever. But as long as it's a pretty typical routine, it'll help your body realize when it's supposed to be awake and when it's supposed to be asleep. Try to limit random naps throughout the day as much as you can. Okay, so now this problem just said just write a system that models the scenario. But let's say I wanted to actually solve this as well. If I wanted to know actually how many canvases, how many brushes, how many pastels did they each actually get, right? Well, we can solve this. This is a system, a 3-equation system of 3 variables, right? We could do this by hand. We've talked about how to do this by hand. However, I wanted to show you a better way that you can do it, an easier way as well. Okay, besides just doing it out by hand, and that's by using our wonderful, wonderful calculators. Okay. So here's the first thing I'm going to do. So all I did is I took the coefficients off of everything, right? But like, so I just got 5, 4, 3, 22. That's exactly what these numbers across the top are. And I just did the same thing for each equation. Okay, so I just took those coefficients. And what this is called is a matrix. We're going to talk about a matrix and matrices more later on. But I wanted to go ahead and at least show you this, how we can solve them. The yellow is invisible. You can't see the yellow. Is this what you're saying? Joke. Oh, Jacob. Okay, so if you have your TI-84s with you, that'd be great. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to first, I'll write these steps down here. Okay, I'm going to first click second math. So second, oh wait, no, sorry, not math. Second x squared. Which is the matrix button. All right, hopefully you can see the matrix. Wait, is that? I messed up. That's not even the x squared button. It's the x inverse button. I can't even see my own calculator. So I think that's probably what it should be on yours as well. But the point is, we want matrix. And typically matrix is you have to click second something. So I'm not sure exactly what it is on your calculator, but I would guess it should be second and then x to the negative first. All right, so that should bring up a page that looks like this. All right. I hope you're doing this and following along with me, but let me know if you get lost on what buttons I'm clicking or where I'm at. So I have this screen. I want to go over to where it says edit. So I'm just going to use my right arrow key to go 1, 2, over to the right. And let's just use this. So we can put a bunch of matrices in here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Let's just use that first one, A. So I'm just going to click 1. And it depends on what yours looks like here. It might just be like 1 by 1. That might be what yours looks like immediately. Okay, but we want to change these numbers. What these numbers up here represent is how many rows and how many columns are there in the matrix. So for example, if we look at ours, we have 1, 2, 3 rows. Okay, so I'm going to put a 3 in this first spot. And then I'll click right to go over to the next number. And this next number is how many columns are there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Right, rows go across, columns go up and down. So 4 columns. So I'll put a 4. And now I'll just click enter. All right, so it should look like this. So now what I want is I want to enter in all of these numbers, right, that I have written on my Smart Notebook page, the 5, 4, 3, 22, 6, 3, 4, 24, 7, 5, 2, 23. I'm just going to go through and enter those into my matrix. So 6, no, sorry, not 6, 5. I'll click enter to go to the next one. So I can see when I clicked enter, the 5 showed up in that first spot. So 5, 4, 3, 22. Then I go to the next row, 6, 3, 4, 24, 7, 5, 2, 23. Okay, so I have all of my numbers entered. And it just goes across the first row, then across the second row, across the third row. Right, and just click enter to move on to the next number. Okay, so now I'm going to go to, so here we can, well, what's the best way to do it? Okay, so let's do our same thing, that second x to the negative first. So I'm just going to leave this here. All my numbers are entered. That's great. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. So I'm going to do second matrix again, just to bring me back to this page or screen. And now I'm going to go to the right, math. And I'm going to scroll down to RREF. Right, RREF. I'm going to click enter. Oh, wait, sorry. Why does it do that? Okay, let's fix that. Okay, so my last number was 23. Okay, so from this page, actually first I'm just going to quit out of it. So from when I entered all the numbers into the matrix, right, I'm just going to quit. So second mode, just to bring me back to the home screen. And then I'll go to second, x to the negative first. So matrix, scroll to math, and then all the way down to RREF. And we'll learn what RREF actually stands for. But for now, it's just a button we push. And it should show up like this on your screen, RREF. Okay, now we want to put our matrix inside of this. So same thing, second, x to the negative first, takes me to all the matrix stuff. And now I'm just going to click 1, right, A, because A is where we put all of our numbers in for our problem. So that's what's storing the information I want. So I'm just going to click 1. And then I'll close off the parentheses here. So I have RREF of A. And I'm just going to click enter. I should end up with this. Where the diagonal is just ones, and then that right column actually has numbers in it, but everything else should be 0. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what this means, the way to interpret this is for in that first row, that first spot where I see that 1, that is representing this variable. Wow, you can't see that. Okay, that is representing this variable, C. So since the other number on the far right side in the first row is 1, that tells me that C equals 1. Right, then as I move down to my second row, right, that second spot has a 1 in it. So I'm asked, well, what is the variable that's in the second row in the second spot? Well, that's B, okay? So that tells me that B equals 2. And then lastly, that third row in the third spot. So third row, third spot, that's P. So P equals 3. So that tells me canvases cost $1, brushes cost $2, and pastels cost $3. Right, so we solved a system of equations. We solved for all our variables without having to do it all out by hand like we practiced before. We can actually just use our calculators to do it. I hope that was somewhat intelligible. Dude, I don't know. I do not know. All right, so let's practice this more. Let's practice the just reading and writing the systems, and let's practice using our calculator to solve it. Because if we get good at that, I know it's kind of a lot of work typing all that crap in, but once we get the hang of it, it becomes so much better and so much faster than trying to do it all out by hand. Okay, solving systems, well, we just talked about that. All right, so let's go to our next word problem. Right. Jane is asked to buy some chickens, dogs, and ducks for her farm for some reason. The total number of animals she needs to buy is 50. 50. She has a budget of $1,500 to spend on $20 per chicken, $50 per dog, and $30 per duck. Additionally, the number of chickens should be equal to that of the ducks. Okay. So first of all, let's just create some variables that represent this stuff. Okay. You can, I mean, a common thing is to just pick like the first letter from each thing. So, well, that probably wouldn't be good because we have dog and duck. Let's just use XYZ. Okay. Okay, we'll say X is the amount of chickens, Y is the amount of dogs, Z is the amount of ducks. So the first thing that I know is the total number she needs to buy should total 50. Well, so how can I write an equation that represents that? Well, chickens plus dogs plus ducks should equal 50. Easy, right? If the total should be 50, well, when you add them all up, you'd get 50. She has a budget of $1,500, and then I know the price for each animal. Okay, so $20 per chicken plus $50 per dog plus $30 per duck. That totals $1,500 because that's the budget that she has to spend it. And then lastly, the number of chickens should be equal to that of the ducks. So the amount of chickens should be equal to the ducks. Okay, well I can write that. X equals Z. All right, amount of chickens should be the same thing as the amount of ducks. Okay, except I'm going to do myself a favor here. So instead of writing it like X equals Z, which is fine, that makes sense. But if I want to actually go through and solve this, so like in my first two equations, the X, Y, Z are all on the left side, and the right side's just a number. So I'm going to do that same thing. So I'm going to subtract Z from both sides so that I have X minus Z equals 0. So I'm going to write that equation instead. And I spaced it out like that just so that my variables all line up. Right, all my X's are right here, all my Y's are right here, and all my Z's are right here. Okay, so it's just for organization's sake. I took that equation X equals Z and made it X minus Z equals 0. Because, again, I want to actually solve this. So I'm going to make my matrix. So I take all the coefficients. So from the first equation, 1x plus 1y plus 1z equals 50. From the second equation, 20x plus 50y plus 30z equals 1500. And from the third equation, 1x minus 1z equals 0. Now, since there's no y variable in that second spot, I'm just going to put a 0 there. So it's like I have 1x plus 0y minus 1z equals 0. All right, so now I have my matrix. And I'm going to go through the same process that I did before. Okay, so from my home screen, all right, I want to click the matrix button, so I need second x to the negative first. To enter in the numbers that I want, I'm going to go over to edit. So these two screens look the same, where it has the matrix, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But if I want to change what the numbers are, then I need to be in the edit column. All right, so let's edit matrix 1. 3 rows and 4 columns. That's fine. So I just need to go through and click through, enter all my numbers. So 1, 1, 1, 50, 20, 50, 30, 1500, 1, 0, negative 1, 0. All right, so just going through and entering in all those new numbers from my new equations for the new problem. Once I have all my numbers entered in, then I'm going to quit out to go just to the main screen, right? Just so Press start. I entered all my numbers. It has it stored in there. So now I'm going to go second, x to the negative first. And here's where I want to pull up that RREF. So I go to the second little tab here, math, and I scroll down to RREF, not REF, very similar, RREF. I click enter. Now again, I want to pull up my matrix A, so second, x to the negative first. And now I just do want to stay right here. I don't want to go to the edit column. I want to be right here. And I'll click 1. So it brings up matrix A, and enter to solve it. So again, I have a similar style looking matrix where there's the 1s on the diagonal, 0s everywhere else, and then that right column is all of my answers. So I can interpret this as x equals 20, y equals 10, z equals 20. Right? Or if I wanted to, we talked about writing things like as almost like an ordered pair, but like this. Okay, that works too. That's how you would enter it on a PFA. So for this farm for Jane, looks like she got 20 chickens, 10 dogs, 20 ducks. All right, let's go one more. Last one. Ultimate Frisbee team has to order jerseys, shorts, and hats. They have a budget of $13.50 to spend on $50 jerseys, $20 shorts, and $15 hats. They want to buy 40 items in preparation for the oncoming season and must order as many jerseys as shorts and hats combined. Okay. So the first thing is that there are 3 variables, right? Jerseys, shorts, hats. So let's just make it simple. I'll say X is jerseys, Y is shorts, and Z is hats. Again, if you wanted to do like J is for jerseys, S is for shorts, and H is for hats, that's fine. But just to keep it consistent, I'll typically stick with just X, Y, Z. Okay, so first up, the budget is $13.50. $50 jerseys, $20 shorts, and $15 hats. So 50X plus 20Y plus 15Z equals $13.50. They want to buy 40 items. All right, so altogether they'll end up buying 40 things. So however many jerseys there are, plus however many shorts there are, plus however many hats there are, should all equal 40. And then lastly, must order as many jerseys as shorts and hats combined. Okay. So the amount of shorts is going to be the same amount as if you added the jerseys and the hats together. All right, so I'm going to do this a little bit off to the side, kind of like I did before. So the amount of jerseys should be as many as shorts and hats combined. So x equals y plus z. Shorts plus hats equals the amount of jerseys. But like last time, I want to be consistent. So I'm going to put all of my variables over on the left side. So x minus y minus z equals 0. And that's what I'm going to write over here. Okay, I'll write this down from my matrix so I know that these are all the numbers I want to enter in. I just took the coefficients off of all the equations. Let's bring up my calculator. Second, x to the negative first. I have new numbers to enter in, so I'm going to go over to edit. 3 rows, 4 columns, that's still fine. And I'll enter in my new numbers, 50, 20, 15, 1350, 1, 1, 1, 40, 1, negative 1, negative 1, 0. Once everything's entered, just quit out of it. So second mode, bring you back to the home screen. Now we want to pull up the RREF. So second, x to the negative first. Scroll to the right, 1 tab to the math tab, and go all the way down to RREF. And now we just want to tell it to use our matrix A that we stored all of our numbers in. So second, x to the negative first. And we don't want to enter new numbers, so we don't want to go to the edit column. Right? We already entered in our numbers, so let's just click 1. Close it off. Boom. So I look at my right column that has all my answers. So 20 jerseys, 10 shorts, 10 hats. So there you go. That's an alternatively easier way to solve those 3x3 systems where you have 3 equations and 3 variables. We cannot use this method for the nonlinear system. So whenever there's like the x squared and y squared in it, we can't do this. But it works well for these. Right, if we have linear problems, so if you have an equation, if you have a system of equations that doesn't have any squareds in them, then you can use this good old RREF on your calculator to do it. Okay, so this should save you some time, save you some work. Can I take systems of equations? Yeah. Questions? Oh boy, more emails. Okay. Well, I will leave it at that then. I think actually, yeah, we're coming up on our performance task here. But we'll talk more about that next time on Thursday. And yeah, request some PFAs. I'll approve them when I see them. That's all I got. Hope you guys have a